Jackson TSC Manager Kelby Wallace. Kelby, good to see you again. Welcome back.
Good afternoon, Bart. How are you?
I'm good. Wow, it's bright orange.
It's a bright orange. I figured today was a good time to kick off our construction season a little bit with a few projects we can talk about. Plus, this month includes the week of April 21st is kind of a work zone awareness week. It's kind of a national event. We also kind of supported in Michigan to kind of just to raise awareness of work zones and the workers and motorists and just the issues that happen in work zones when people aren't careful.
Now, are there bigger offenders in commercial traffic or with civilian pedestrians or civilian motorists?
So I think it kind of depends on the each project has kind of its different issues. So a commercial area has a lot of lower speed stuff usually maybe, and the pedestrians mixed in, and then driveways and stuff like that, where a freeway has high speeds where people make bad decisions and can kind of come upon stopped or slowed traffic, and we see kind of a lot of issues caused from that on freeway projects, high speeds, or other commercial or lower speed, but they all have problems if people aren't careful.
And distracted driving is probably the number one cause of an incident or a crash.
Yeah, that's definitely one, and that one's controllable,
Yeah.
right? It's controllable by the driver.
And we've got signs, people, slow down. What if you're coming upon a work zone that you don't, nobody seems to be working. Can I just ignore the work zone speed?
No, right? You never know. Somebody could be behind a barrier wall, or they could be up looking at a bridge. When we put those out there, they're definitely an active work zone. Now on weekends and stuff, sometimes they aren't out there, but we still leave those work zone speed limits and warning signs in there because sometimes there's reasons why they might be out there on that weekend. So it's kind of construction's never a set schedule. Mother Nature drives it a lot of times, and anything can happen out there on the road. So you got to be careful all the time in a work zone.
Yeah, and I think the GPS map apps will actually calculate whatever the delay might be on your trip. So if you check them out before you leave or before you plan to leave, you can build that time into your trip.
Absolutely, we do a lot of work to put our closures on our MDOT website, which actually then the GPS companies take that data and they validate that there's an actual slowdown, and then they use the cell phone data to further develop your shortest route to wherever you're going. So we put up a flyer up on the screen a little while ago, and that's kind of the first one to me is research your route. If you're going somewhere where you don't know, use your GPS, look up to see if there's a major work zone that's going to cause you to be late if it's not a route you don't travel every day. The other one is pay attention to what you said, right? That's distracted driving. Put down your phone, put away the Egg McMuffin, and focus on driving when you're in a work zone. The other one is just simple slow down, as you mentioned. Move over in your open lane and kind of keep your distance. Don't tailgate. So real common sense stuff that I thought really made a lot of sense to help work zones be safer.
Yeah, and every year, unfortunately, there are construction workers killed in Michigan because of all of these reasons.
I always say, drive through that work zone like it's your family working out there. Next to traffic that's driving 60 miles an hour with just a drum or a barrel separating them from there. So
yeah, think about it. It could be your mom or your dad or your brother out there working, and it is someone's family.
Absolutely. So
this cold weather, that's not stopping you from starting your projects, is it?
Nope, we've got a lot of projects starting in Jackson County, Lenawee, and Hillsdale this time of year. April's kind of that month when it really starts to turn the corner, even though it's 35 and cold out today, where you look at that long-term 10-day forecast, it's getting there. So our contractors are starting to mobilize. So I kind of wanted to bring up one on US 127 there in southern Jackson County. That's at Jefferson Road intersection. There's a traffic signal there, but most people may not know there's a bridge that's carrying the starts of the Grand River there, and that bridge runs diagonally under that intersection, making it very difficult to work on it. Needs some significant repair, and we're going to have to eventually do some detours out there.
This isn't a.
No, this is downtown
This is something
Jackson,
else.
so we might go back to that one.
Yeah,
There
stay
you go.
here.
So this flyer I have there kind of outlines the project in total. It's going to start spring, which is nearly next week is what we're looking at, and run till about November. The first phase is going to be not really noticeable. We just got to do some shoulder widening to start so that we can shift the 127 traffic over. We're not going to ever shut down 127, but we will have to do some shutdowns on Jefferson. So in April and May, they'll be doing just that shoulder widening with some shoulder closures. And then the bridge work won't actually start till June. And that's when we'll kind of have our first detour. And that first detour will be that entire west, we call it the west leg of the intersection, which goes over in Liberty Township. That will be closed. You will not be able to get to 127 through there anymore or turn on or off at that. That's completely closed because we'll be working on that side of the bridge. That'll take about 2 months, June, July, and then the next phase would be the opposite side. So that would be the Columbia Township side, where we'll have to close that side of that intersection, that leg, where there also is the gas station and the subway and stuff over there. That will be closed in approximately July, August, September, and then we'll kind of be doing cleanup in October and November.
Wow.
So,
Well, people love that intersection.
yeah, I would suggest, folks, if you're, go that way home sometimes from Jackson, you take M50 through Napoleon, or there's some other local county roads that you can also use. But
You've probably done the math from Jackson using 127 versus M50 to Brooklyn, which is faster?
It kind of depends on the traffic signal. It's so close. It depends on if you hit the traffic signal at that Jefferson intersection, or if you hit the traffic signal getting off by Clavon's and on the bridge there. So I go both ways because I go from Jackson to Columbia Township almost every day, and I generally go through Napoleon, but once in a while I'll go down Jefferson because I like a change of scenery. But it's really 6 one, half dozen the other. It really isn't much any different at all.
That's what I thought. I thought it was pretty much equal.
So something I wanted to put on everybody's radar.
All right, coming soon. Now, downtown, one that is underway is the Liberty, what do we call this? Liberty Road Bridge?
This is our Cooper Street
Cooper Street Bridge,
Yep.
Cooper Street.
Yeah, so we haven't even started demolishing the bridge yet, and the reason why is we've been working on water main. You can see right here, this is a temporary water main. We had to build that temporary bridge over the river, and that's a 20-inch water main that supplies a huge majority of the city with some water. So we had to make sure that's installed and working because the existing water main is on that bridge there on the right, and we have to shut off that old water main and tear out the bridge.
Wow.
But first we had to build that whole temporary water main there to the left of the screen. So, and you have to go north and south of the bridge to kind of connect that to the rest of the water main underground. And that's what this is here, and you can see how deep that is. We've kind of got our trench boxes, and we've got some sheeting, and way down at the bottom of that that hole is where the worker is, and they are trying to connect the new temporary water main to the old water main, and it's very deep and just real difficult, complex work down there. We ran into a sanitary sewer line that we didn't know was there. We had to replace that, so there's just very complex urban excavation going on that's taken a while. So in addition, there's groundwater there because we're deep enough, and because that's in an all industrial area, all that water's contaminated.
Yeah.
So we have to, any water we encounter, we have to pump it into the tanks that are out there. And then the tanks then hold the water. A company comes and takes it, pumps it, and takes it to a treatment plant where they can actually treat it so it's not harmful when it's discharged. So
this is groundwater that's just laying there? You've got to pump it out?
when we kind of excavated and put that water main, water seeps in through the sides of the excavation and kind of fills up. And so we put a pump down there, or we put a hose down there, and we suck out that water and we put it in those tanks. And you know, and I've heard a few people that, you know, being friendly. Why is that going to take till November? You guys, you know, you shut down the road a month or 2 months ago. And I just said, I'm going to show Bart why it's going to take so long. You know, it's not just a simple bridge where you're just kind of going in there and taking out the bridge and putting it back. You've got all these complications that are, you know, just part of the older infrastructure in a city like any city, and especially Jackson. You know, there's a lot of old infrastructure in the ground. We got to be careful with it and replace what we can when we tear up the roadway. So we're going to have new water main in there now, and any sanitary sewer we run into we'll replace. So just you know, kind of new guts and skeleton for the underneath the road that'll be there.
We don't live in Legoland. It does take a little bit more than snapping some pieces in and out. Yeah, and it's always complications. There's always something that you don't even anticipate, like the sanitary sewer.
Correct. Yeah.
Well, you guys keep up the great work. Be safe, motorists. Be safe. Make sure you keep our construction crews safe when you're out and about. It's going to be. You'll be seeing a lot more orange barrels all over Michigan. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
Kelby Wallace is Jackson TSC manager at MDOT.